This video is about load boards, specifically about something I saw a gentleman bring up, and it's in terms of people talking about canceling, deleting, eliminating, not participating in load boards. So the argument is if you get rid of load boards, you're going to get rid of double brokering, you're going to get rid of fraud, and it's going to be an end to that side of the freight world, respectively. Now, eliminating load boards would mean that carriers would have to go to shippers to find loads. Brokers would have to go and find their own carriers and not use load boards to try to solicit carriers to take their loads. And they would have to, more or less build off web relationships, almost like creating your own directory. Before load boards were even a thing, this is how things were to get done. Now, the argument is if you do this, you're going to then get rid of double brokers and get rid of all of that kind of stuff, right? Well, the government has done a lot of mismanagement when it comes to fighting fraud in logistics and trucking, respectively. But, little changes for some load boards have come into play. For example, Truck Stop has put into their way of having two-step verification and government ID verification, and making a step towards winning that fight against fraud, specifically in trucking and logistics. But I really do think we have a long way to go. I don't think that just eliminating load boards will be a way forward. Okay, I think that we also need to look at some other practices by shippers that aren't the right way to do things as well. For example, they will put you in a participation of a bid. So let's say they have 50 providers, mix of brokers and carriers to handle their freight spend. Okay, but the problem is you do still see them sending out these rate requests, participations in large bids as well to you know carriers and brokers that have Gmail and Yahoo and AOL email addresses. Okay, that should be a raise for concern, definitely. I mean, we have to fight fraud on all levels. It can't just be, get rid of brokers or get rid of bad carriers. It's got to be an all out effort by everybody involved in the supply chain. And I don't believe that the right fit for this solution would be to just get rid of load boards. Load boards, as a benefit, is a place where dispatchers can go for their carriers, and the drivers themselves, if they do have the time to do so, to dispatch them their own operation, their own truck, can go on load boards and find good, solid relationships with brokers that actually know what in the world they're doing. And so, from that perspective, they're connecting those carriers to loads that they otherwise wouldn't have. They would have to solicit business from all sides of every corner that they would visit. So it's not just like you solicit just your local shippers as a carrier, and you just go out and deliver freight, and then we'll find something back. It's not necessarily like that. They would have to also try to solicit wherever they're going. So if they took a load from New York to Los Angeles, the driver or somebody from that carrier's team would have to go out there and try to solicit freight back towards domicile city, right? So, right, you got to think of more things than just saying, let's just eliminate load boards. They're not a good fit for anyone. They're useful. They're useful for a lot of carriers, especially the open board carriers, the open bid carriers that aren't on any long-term contracts for any kind of round trip dedicated freight. It's not like every freight you do is going to be long-term and round trip and dedicated, and you won't have to find a load back. Your dispatchers still have to, work hard to find something back for your drivers. Okay, so load boards do have a place in the industry. Okay, the industry is so massive that I just don't see why both brokers and carriers can't participate properly. Okay. But I do see the point from fraud. I do see that fraud, eliminating fraud, is a big deal in the industry. We're trying to get there. We're trying to do what we're supposed to do as brokers, as carriers, to look for these little things to try to prevent the fraud as much as possible. Okay. From a financial perspective, I don't think that getting rid of load boards is going to solve financial stability of brokers, nor is it going to resolve financial stabilities of carriers. It's a long game for sure. It's a long term game, and I don't think there's a fit to just go out there and just say that we need to get rid of these tools that a lot of carriers use to source their, if not outbound freight, at least the inbound stuff back to their city. Okay, and I do like the fact that DAT, for example, has added their two-step verification, but they have a long ways to go. Okay, that's not the only thing they need. I think they also do need to do government issued IDs to confirm the identity of people that are bidding on freight, calling up on loads, and things of that nature, because it seems that every week double brokers get more and more creative in the way they go after loads. Okay, so we have to find creative ways to push against that, in a legal way, to get rid of fraud in this industry. Because there's nothing worse than, you giving a load to what you thought was a carrier as a broker. They take your load. They tell you, we've picked up, we've gotten loaded. Here's the bill of lading. So you think everything is legitimate, right? Because let's say you're a brand new broker, you don't know what to look for. You don't know what things to look for to signify or to spot a double broker, right? So you think everything's fine. They're giving you even current location updates. They're sending you even like tracking links. And you think everything is legitimate, everything is exactly how it should be. Then comes time for payment, right? You get your money from your shipper, or whether you go through a factoring company, depends how you have your payments set up. You get that all figured out. You send it out to what you thought was the carrier. You give them their payment on time, hopefully, just from your perspective of how you should do things. You pay them on time, you pay them legitimately, and they disappear. And the original carrier that you have no clue who they are, they end up going to the shipper and saying, "Where's my money?" And then your shipper comes to me and like, "Hey, buddy, what's going on there? Why aren't you paying your carriers? We've just had to pay this carrier who's come to us for a bill of lading and has stated so and so," right? And then you may get into a situation where it's going to be two directions for you. One direction is you lose a customer and you don't fulfill that payment, or two, you fulfill that payment and you end up losing thousands of dollars in profit, thousands of dollars across the board in revenue, just based off of the fact that you didn't know what to look for, right? So yes, DAT has a long way to go. I think Truck Stop is doing a really good job with this government issued ID verification stuff. Those are good, solid stepping stones forward to fight this, okay? And there will be technology out there that will come into play that will help us resolve this as we move forward. We're in the stepping stones, the starting phases of blockchain actually being a part of the technology used to run our logistics and supply chain trucking world, okay, in North America and across the globe as well. But we're not there yet, so I do not think that getting rid of load boards is the best step for our industry moving forward. I do think that would be a step backward.